are the solutions for our common future? The World Future Council works toward a healthy and sustainable planet with just and peaceful societies, now and in the future. To achieve this, we identify and spread effective policy solutions for current challenges humanity is facing and honor them with our Future Policy Award. Our council consists of 50 eminent global changemakers. Current and future generations have the right to live on a peaceful and healthy planet. Are you in?
Welcome to the Future Policy Award 2021 from Hamburg, Germany. My name is Jennifer Sarah Boone, and I will be your host today, guiding you through a program celebrating courageous policy solutions from all around the planet that successfully protect people and nature from hazardous chemicals. Today is all about our 5 amazing winning policies, which are now amongst the 60 laws hailing from 40 countries from around the globe that have been recognized with a Future Policy Award. Obviously, today will be a bit different than previous years. As you can see, there is no audience. You might hear some applause. No worries, there are no ghosts. It is just the crew is very excited about today. Not all awardees are present here in Hamburg, but we do have them with us from across the planet. And all of us are dying to know what you think and feel. So please join the conversation on #FuturePolicyAward. We want to know your thoughts. It is going to be really emotional, but also filled with hope and courage. And that is something we all really need, especially during these pretty miserable times. Before we head straight in, I have with me Alexandra Wandel, who is the Executive Director of the World Future Council, and I would like a few more insights from her about the Future Policy Award. Please welcome with me Alexandra Wandel. It's great to have you with us today. Mrs. Wandel, the Future Policy Award is often called the Oscar for the best policies. And on your website, you state that it is the only award that honors policies for the benefit of current and future generations on an international level. That sounds pretty unique.
Yes, as far as we know, this is really a unique award. An award that is honoring policies rather than people on an international level. And our founder, Jakob van Uxkol of the World Future Council, he had created beforehand the Alternative Nobel Prize, awarding individuals. And he then realized that the global challenges were so big and so huge, challenges such as biodiversity loss or inequalities or climate change, that it required also an award that would celebrate really innovative policies whereby people and also the environment is benefiting. And so we are very happy to have this award because we believe that policies are power tools for sustainable change, and also because policies can really change the lives of millions and millions of people, and also big parts of the environment can be rescued with policies.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Another characteristic seems to be that every year the award focuses on a new topic.
That is right. Our council is deciding the topic every year. And so far we had, for instance, the topic of children's rights or biodiversity loss or oceans and coasts. And we are very happy that this year the topic is on protection from hazardous chemicals, because it's a huge challenge, and we are very happy that we can present and celebrate today the award winners.
Today is the very first virtual award ceremony. Is it a lost or a seized opportunity?
Well, in the past we have actually held the award ceremonies at big international UN conferences or also at events of the Interparliamentary Union. This is a partner organization of us bringing together parliamentarians from all over the world. I, for instance, still remember the last award ceremony that we held. This was actually held at the Interparliamentary Union Assembly. And you see here a picture of the awardees, and we had 500 parliamentarians from all over the world attending. Or the year beforehand, we had the award ceremony at the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome during World Food Week. Or the year beforehand, we celebrated in China, and there we were able to present the awards in front of more than 200 environment ministers and heads of international organizations. But today, we are very happy to hold it virtually because many people can join from all over the world, and we're saving some CO2 emissions as well.
So it's a seized opportunity. Thank you so much for your precious insights, Mrs. Wandel. And now I am very pleased to welcome Professor Dr. Dirk Messner, who presides the German Environment Agency, one of the Future Policy Award's biggest supporters.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure for me to be here, and I feel honored to be part of this important event.
This year's Future Policy Award focuses on the protection from hazardous chemicals. What is at stake?
As the second Global Chemicals Outlook already states, business as usual is not an option in this policy field, obviously. Chemicals and chemical waste, this is a big topic. We cannot treat it as a side aspect if we want to achieve the sustainability goals. The loss of biodiversity cannot be stopped if we do not decrease the release of hazard and dangerous chemicals into the environment. Circular economy can be an important contribution to tackle climate change, but we also need to take into account that toxic-free material cycles are key, and we need to focus on our action towards this goal. You see, to transform towards sustainable societies and towards a sustainable chemistry strategy, benefits and risks of chemicals have to be balanced very carefully.
What needs to happen to improve the situation in the view of the German Environmental Protection Agency?
Chemicals don't care about boundaries or pandemic travel restrictions. They continuously move across the globe. It's a globalized phenomenon we have to deal with. Robust and effective cooperation and capacity building are key to achieve a sound management of chemicals and waste. The Berlin Forum on Chemicals and Sustainability on the 7th and 8th of July intends to draw more political attention to this important topic and to foster cooperation.
Do you also feel the award makes a decisive contribution to protecting the human health and the environment from hazardous chemicals?
I already mentioned that we need to have more attention, political attention, for the topic of chemicals and chemical waste. So we think that the Future Policy Award makes a decisive contribution to generate this kind of attention I'm talking about. There are already so many well thought through policies and practices in the world, so the award is an excellent opportunity to put them in the spotlight and inspire and encourage others to follow.
What is your message to the ministers of this year's winning policies of the award?
The winning policies show how manifold the challenges are that we face when dealing with chemicals and waste, and how manifold solutions can be and look like, because we demonstrate how good practices are looking like. Translating this abstract topic into concrete and impactful action is therefore a big achievement you can be very proud of. You truly contribute to the transformation of society to places where the environment and citizens are protected from all chemical-related threats. Synergizing this protection with the other needs for sustainable development requires definitively grit and joint efforts across sectors and departments. And I very much wish you that policymakers across the globe cooperate and learn from each other, and the award is a tool to do so. And I would like to encourage you, the ministers of the winning policies, to keep the momentum and to use the attention due to the award to further advance chemical legislation. To all viewers today and the day after, I wish you inspiring discussions and an inspiring Policy Award 2021 ceremony.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Why we urgently need to act. Mrs. Sheila Agarwal Khan, Director of the Economy Division of the UN Environment Programme, who has more than 30 years of management and technical expertise from a range of institutions, such as the IUCN, knows all too well why the protection from hazardous chemicals is so important for humanity and life on Earth.
Some 700,000 children across the globe are faced with child mortality as a result of exposure to lead. But even more staggering than this is 100 million plus children who are exposed to pesticide residue on farms. UNEP has been working with governments, with industry, with civil society to help societies improve the management of chemicals and to prevent the negative impacts, both to human health and to the ecosystems upon which we depend. Today, UNEP is proud to be associated with the 2021 Future Policy Awards. We hope that these winning policies that have been selected will serve as inspiring policies for others to be able to replicate, so that not only can we improve the sound management of chemicals, but so that we can also reduce the kinds of negative impacts we have seen across the globe when chemicals have been used and children and other parts of society have become exposed to them. Looking forward to hearing more on the 2021 awards as they get announced.
Mrs. Agarwal Khan, thank you for sharing UNEP's point of view of a situation that truly demands our immediate attention. Now let us turn to celebrate solutions. Before you meet today's first awardee, it's time for Maxime Noyes and Nicole Milik, who are both passionate musicians and support the good cause, and today they have come together with their song We Are One, that they dedicate to all winners of the Future Policy Award 2021.
Look at the world, look at us now. We're like a flower breaking through the ground, and if we stand together in unity, we will be strong and free like the tallest tree. Let the wind change, cause what happens in the world is something insane. We hear this pretty little earth is crying in pain. And even when we're leaving today, let's save it for the future that will stay. Yeah, we made a couple mistakes, many challenges on our way. Walk the talk, watch the clock, stop before it's too late. Stand together cause we ain't done. We're living all under the same sun. We are waves from the same sea, just like leaves from the same tree. We are one, not just you and me, when we give and receive. We are waves from the same sea, just like leaves from the same tree. We are one, not just you and me, when we give and receive.
We Are One. I still have goosebumps. Thank you, Maxime Noyes and Nicole Milik. An amazing song to start the award presentation. Thousands of active pharmaceutical ingredients are being administered worldwide. They may cause risks to children and the fetus through water or food, and they may have harmful effects on nature. For this reason, stakeholders listed environmentally persistent pharmaceutical pollutants as emerging policy issues. They are subject of our first Future Policy Special Award, which will go to the first successful compulsory medicine disposal program in the whole of Latin America. Come with us on a journey to the Andes, to Colombia, to learn more about this impactful policy.
Around 4,000 active pharmaceutical ingredients are administered worldwide, including in prescription medicines, over-the-counter drugs, and veterinary drugs. While pharmaceuticals are stringently regulated, they still enter the environment via wastewater, after intake, or through inappropriate disposal. The effects they have in the natural environment are a topic of growing concern. To protect the environment and the population, Colombia introduced Resolution number 371 in 2009 as part of the national policy for regulating waste management from hazardous products. The resolution's remarkable feature is that it uses the polluter pays principle. Manufacturers and importers of pharmaceuticals and medications have to manage the proper disposal of expired medicines and to cover the costs of implementation. By 2018, a total of 711 manufacturers and importers participated in the policy, corresponding to 95% of the market share. A total of 2,593 take-back points had been established to collect medicines and dispose of them properly, covering 70% of the population. More than 930 tons of medicines had already been disposed of properly. This has motivated the industry to create better disposal alternatives to traditional landfills, such as incineration, energy recovery systems, or recycling of packaging. The resolution represents the first successful compulsory medicine disposal program in Latin America, inspiring neighboring countries to develop similar approaches.
Let me now give a warm welcome to Mr. Nikhil Seth, who is UN Assistant Secretary General and the Executive Director of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR, and who will give the first congratulatory speech.
Greetings from the United Nations Institute for Training and Research in Geneva. We are very pleased to be partners of the Future Policy Award 2021. I also served on the jury. We reviewed many good candidates, and there was one inspiring nominee in the category Environmentally Persistent Pharmaceutical Pollutants, which truly deserves to be applauded worldwide. The Colombian resolution addresses the inadequate management of pharmaceuticals and their residues, which constitutes a widespread challenge globally, endangering human health and harming the environment. The resolution is a true pioneer in the region. Colombia's resolution is the first successful compulsory medicine disposal program in all of Latin America. Global recognition of this achievement seems therefore highly justified. I warmly congratulate Colombia's policymakers for effectively implementing Resolution number 371 of 2009, and I applaud all those actors that joined hands in bringing about this impactful policy, which is honored today with the 2021 Future Policy Special Award. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seth. Our sincerest congratulations go to the Colombian stakeholders behind this outstanding policy. Please give them a big round of applause. We now warmly welcome His Excellency Carlos Correa, who serves as Colombia's Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development.
Señoras y señores, en nombre del Gobierno de Colombia es un verdadero honor para mí, como Ministro de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, aceptar el Premio Especial de Política de Futuro 2021, que reconoce los esfuerzos del país en el desarrollo e implementación de la política ambiental asociada al principio de la responsabilidad extendida del productor. Los programas de recolección y gestión de residuos postconsumo de medicamentos vencidos implementados en el país han permitido que en los últimos 10 años más de 1.000 toneladas de estos residuos hayan sido recolectados y gestionados de manera ambientalmente racional en todo el territorio nacional, evitando que estos llegaran a corrientes de agua o fueran dispuestos en rellenos sanitarios, minimizando los efectos adversos para la salud humana y para el ambiente debido a los componentes peligrosos que contienen. La implementación de la política no ha sido fácil, requirió en sus inicios de una gran voluntad política, un cambio de paradigma, de innovación en la normativa ambiental y un gran compromiso del sector privado y la ciudadanía para hacer que el principio de la REP fuera una realidad en el país. Este premio nos motiva a seguir trabajando en el desarrollo de estas políticas en pro del desarrollo sostenible del país, a continuar promoviendo un cambio de comportamiento de la ciudadanía y seguir mejorando la implementación de la política. Finalmente, agradecemos a la iniciativa de World Future Council y a todos sus socios estratégicos por el Future Policy Award 2021 y manifestamos nuestro interés de compartir todas nuestras experiencias. Juntos podemos lograr un futuro seguro para las sustancias químicas.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and of course, congratulations. Lead exposure causes hundreds of thousands of deaths and intellectual disabilities in children every year. A total of $977 billion are the costs associated with the decrease in IQ of affected children. Indeed, children compared to adults absorb 4 to 5 times the amount of toxins from a given source. Lead, in particular lead in paint, is the subject of our second Future Policy Award. When we shared confidentially that lead in paint would be an award topic, the New York City-based artist George Bates, who specializes in illustration, hand lettering, and public art, got inspired to create a special illustration with self-made paints just for this award. He very briefly will give us a presentation.
Hello, my name is George Bates, and it's an honor to be invited to create a work for the World Future Council Future Policy Award. When I was informed of the topic of lead in paint and creating a work without lead in the pigment, I thought about exploring all natural inks and pigments, as I had spoken with an artist years ago who made their own pigments out of their garden, actually, as many of the pigments and inks that we use contain all manner of unnatural toxins. This led me to sourcing some small batch and natural ink makers I thought would be excellent for the project. As with anything, those exploring options on the fringes of commerce eventually finds its way to the center of culture and practice as these sort of demands emerge. And we have iron gall inks here and a walnut ink. One of the concerns about natural inks and pigment is the issue of light fastness or fading. Brighter colors and more vibrant colors have a tendency to fade. So I only wanted to work and explore with colors that would be permanent without the prospect of fading. And this led to settling on these inks to explore. As issues of permanence and impermanence, the temporal and the earthly also became aspects thematically of the piece. And as I was playing around with the inks, idea of connectedness, intersections, relatedness to natural elements and pigments emerged and became a part of the piece. So I do hope everyone enjoys the work, and thank you for the invite to participate in this important dialogue.
Thank you, George Bates, for having been inspired by the 2021 Future Policy Award. Our second special award will go to the first Southeast Asian country to successfully implement legislation towards lead-safe paint. Let us leave the Andes and go west, crossing the world's largest and deepest ocean to reach the Philippines to learn more about this effective policy.
Lead is a major health concern, particularly in low and middle-income countries. Exposure to lead causes 143,000 deaths and 600,000 cases of intellectual disabilities in children worldwide every year. One of the leading causes of lead exposure is through lead in paint. As the paint begins to disintegrate, lead can enter the surrounding environment. Lead particles can settle in the soil, then enter the food chain. Only a few countries globally have enacted comprehensive bans on the use of lead additives in all paints. The Philippines became the first Southeast Asian country to successfully implement legislation towards lead-safe paint. The policy increases awareness of the toxicity of lead exposure and provides safer alternatives to protect the health of the population and the environment. It's comprised of a roadmap with clear definitions, phase-out plans, and decisive instruments with special attention to children. This policy truly stands out as a great number of stakeholders were actively involved. By 2020, the local industry had beaten the phase-out deadline for lead paints with a total of 1,395 paint products certified through the new lead-safe paint certification program. The Philippines demonstrate that it is possible to restrict the use of lead in all paints.
Let me now give a warm welcome to Mr. Masamichi Kono, who is serving as Deputy Secretary General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, since August 2017. His responsibilities include the strategic direction of the OECD policy on environment, financial and enterprise affairs, tax, trade and agriculture, and he will give the congratulatory speech for the Philippine policy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to send my warm greetings from the OECD in Paris. We are truly delighted and honored to partner with such a prestigious award and to deliver this congratulatory speech for the category Lead in Paint. This topic is really close to our heart, as the OECD Ministerial Declaration on the Risk Reduction of Lead underlines. This Ministerial Declaration dates back to 1996. In this category, the jury selected the Philippines Chemical Control Order for lead and lead compounds as the winning policy, and I passionately congratulate policymakers of the Philippines who brought about this policy. The Philippines is the first country in Southeast Asia to successfully implement legislation towards lead-safe paint. This policy actively involved many stakeholders from government, industry, and civil society. Thanks to their action, the Philippines is now amongst the few countries worldwide that have enacted comprehensive bans on the use of lead additives in all paints. It is truly impressive and inspiring for all of us to know that the local industry has entirely phased out unsafe lead paints and that lead-safe paints are mandatory to be used, for instance, in schools, safeguarding children's health. International applause of this achievement is well deserved, therefore. I warmly congratulate all actors behind this impactful policy, which is honored today with the 2021 Future Policy Special Award in the category of Lead in Paint. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kono, and our sincerest congratulations to the Philippine stakeholders behind this impactful policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. We now warmly welcome the representative of the Philippines, His Excellency Retired General Roy Cimatu, who serves as Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources.
We are honored to accept this Future Policy Award from the World Future Council. This award bespeaks the commitment of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to protect human health and the environment through responsive policies. The development of our chemical control order for lead and lead compounds that banned the use of lead in paints and children's products in the Philippines was a big challenge. This is because the transition required lengthy consultations with various sectors, dating back to 2005 when our department included lead and lead compounds among the chemicals for eventual phase-out. We appreciate the vigilance of non-government organizations like the Eco-Waste Coalition in the lead phase-out campaign, and other agencies also help us craft a balanced and sustainable policy for lead. We also commend the Academe and the Philippine Association of Paint Manufacturers for their support in making our chemical control order implementable. Our drive to ensure safer, lead-free paint products does not end with the issuance of this policy. We continue to include in our information, education, and communication campaign the effects of lead on human health and strengthen monitoring to enhance environmental compliance among stakeholders and thereby ensure a healthy and lead-free environment for our people. Our most special thanks go to the World Future Council for this Future Policy Award. This will inspire us to further strengthen the implementation of our chemical control policy and to develop other policies to protect human health and the environment.
Thank you so very much to the representative from the Philippines, His Excellency Retired General Roy Cimatu. And again, our congratulations. Let us move to our next award. Highly hazardous pesticides remain a critical issue that has not yet been addressed in many countries. In particular, self-poisoning with pesticides is one of the most common suicide methods globally. It causes up to 1 in 5 of the world's suicides, accounting for 14 million deaths between 1960, when highly hazardous pesticides were introduced into rural agriculture, and 2018. These pesticides have therefore become the subject of our third Future Policy Special Award, which will go to 2 policies that together resulted in one of the greatest decreases in suicide rates ever achieved in the world. This time the journey is relatively short. Come with us to the islands of Sri Lanka to learn more about this impactful policy.
Pesticides are a very common suicide agent in many parts of the world. Until the 1990s, Sri Lanka had one of the world's highest suicide rates, and self-poisoning with pesticides accounted for more than 2/3 of all cases. The Pesticides Act ensures that only less hazardous pesticides are available. Since its introduction, the Act has been used to ban a total of 36 highly hazardous pesticides. Sri Lanka's pesticide regulations have contributed to one of the greatest declines in suicide rates ever achieved in the world. The country's suicide rate has been reduced by 70%, most drastically in rural villages and among children and youth. The bans saved about 93,000 lives over 20 years at a direct government cost of less than $50 per case. 2 million farming households have benefited from increased chemical safety. The policy ensures that farmers use pesticides appropriately, minimizing effects on human health and the environment, as well as reducing biodiversity loss. At the same time, with support from further well-considered measures, Sri Lanka has maintained its agricultural productivity. Sri Lanka's experience proves the banning of highly hazardous pesticides to be one of the most cost-effective approaches for suicide prevention.
I now warmly welcome an internationally well-renowned environmental and social activist from India to give the congratulatory speech for the Sri Lankan award-winning policies. She received numerous international recognitions herself, and through her work, she has contributed in fundamental ways to changing the practice and paradigms of agriculture and food. She is also a founding councillor of the World Future Council. Professor Dr. Vandana Shiva, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from India. I'm very happy to have served on the jury of this year's Future Policy Award, especially since the concern for pesticides damaging biodiversity, human health, and the suicides of our farmers have been my concern for the last 4 decades. When we examine the policies, Sri Lanka's Control of Pesticides Act and National Policy on Prevention of Suicide stood out. I warmly congratulate Sri Lanka's policymakers who have adopted and implemented these 2 policies. Across the world, 14 million deaths have taken place over the last 60 years because of pesticide self-poisoning. Sri Lanka, through its policies, has reduced its suicide rate by 70%, saved innocent lives of women, children, farmers, protected biodiversity, bees and butterflies. I congratulate Sri Lanka and everyone who worked behind the scene and who continues to work to make Sri Lanka 100% organic zones. Congratulations again for the 2021 Future Policy Special Award in the category of highly hazardous pesticides.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Shiva, and our sincerest congratulations to the Sri Lankan stakeholders behind this effective policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. We are now very pleased to have with us the Honourable Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine from Sri Lanka, Her Excellency Pavitra Devi Vanyarachi. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honoured to accept the Future Policy Special Award 2021 on behalf of Sri Lanka's Control of Pesticide Act and Prevention of Suicides. In the name of the Sri Lankan people, we thank the World Future Council and its partners and donors for this international recognition. The adoption of the National Policy on Prevention of Suicide resulted from a rewarding collaboration between our Ministries of Agriculture and Health. For us, it's a great first step in our attempts of the health professionals together with those in the Agriculture Ministry for working towards reducing suicides. The policy has already improved chemical safety of 2 million Sri Lankan households and reduced pesticide-related environmental damages. We would like to particularly thank the registrars of pesticides since 1982, clinicians who kept us informed about what was happening in rural communities, officials in the Health Ministry and the FAO, and WHO for assisting our ministries in bringing about policies that work and are impactful. We are currently reviewing how to move forward again in our actions on highly hazardous pesticides. We thank you once again for this important recognition, about which we are extremely happy. We fully support the vision of a toxic-free world and are ready to share our experiences with policymakers globally.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Congratulations. As the implementation of the awarded Sri Lankan policies is co-led by the Ministry of Agriculture, we are very pleased to also welcome His Excellency Mahinda Nanda Aluth Gamage, the current Minister of Agriculture of Sri Lanka, to share a few words.
We wish to thank you once again for this important recognition, about which we are extremely happy, and extend the support of the vision of our toxin-free world and ready to share our experience with global policymakers in future as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and of course, congratulations. Currently, there are over 40,000 industrial chemicals in commerce worldwide. Hundreds of new chemicals enter the market every year, and far too few of them have been properly tested for safety. Chemicals across the life cycle have been therefore chosen to become the fourth category of the Future Policy Award 2021. We asked a personality who has been on the road as a comedian, author, and presenter for over 20 years to share a few thoughts with us on this matter. You may know him. His specialty is conveying medical content in a humorous way and combining healthy laughter with lasting messages. We are very happy that he is joining us for this year's Future Policy Award ceremony. Please welcome Dr. Eckhard von Hirschhausen.
Hello everyone, my name is Eckhard von Hirschhausen. I'm a big fan of the World Future Council and especially of the Future Policy Award. Unfortunately, I can't be with you today in person, but I hope some remarks of my side as a medical doctor, as a science journalist, and as the founder of the foundation Healthy Planet, Healthy People for Planetary or One Health policies is appreciated. Did you know that currently there are over 40,000 industrial chemicals in commerce worldwide? That more than hundreds of new chemicals enter the market every year? And that far too few have been properly tested for safety. Among them are chemicals that cause hazards to our environment, in water bodies, soil or air, in the food chain or drinking water, and they accumulate where? In our bodies. Hazardous chemicals can cause irreversible harm to the health of humans, fauna, flora, and ecosystems. Children can be particularly affected, and babies can be born with harmful chemicals already in their bodies. The World Health Organization estimates that in 2016 alone, over 1.6 million people died directly or indirectly from exposure to chemicals. And this number is rising. Workers tend to face exposure to higher doses than over long time periods. Estimates by the international labor organizations have found that exposure to hazardous substances claim the lives of almost 1 million workers each year. People in developing countries and countries with economies in transition are disproportionately suffering from the mismanagement of chemicals and waste. There are clear linkages between toxic exposures and poverty. Many types of pollutions are increasing and have significant negative impacts on nature. Untreated urban and rural waste, pollutants from industrial mining and agricultural activities, oil spills and toxic dumping all have serious negative effects. There is no planet B. Chemicals should really not cause harm to human health or the environment. We need sound management of chemicals and waste that aims to prevent, and where this is not yet feasible, to minimize the exposure of people and the environment to hazardous substances. Sound management addresses the whole life cycle of chemicals, from production to usage to disposal. To attain sound chemical and waste management, legal frameworks and policies play a critical role. The good news is that such fundamental policy solutions are available already. When I was a medical student, we still had thermometers with mercury in it. And every thermometer in the world ends at 41 degrees. Why? Because 42 degrees core temperature is not compatible with human life. Whenever one of these mercury thermometers dropped and was broken, the lowest form of hierarchy level, that was me at the time, had to put together all the little droplets of mercury because it was so toxic. All the patients were evacuated from the room and I was gathering all the toxic stuff. When I was writing my book about the connection between climate change and human health, focusing on the different areas from breathing to drinking to temperatures, one key factor is obviously the transition to renewable energies. And one argument that has rarely been used is that if you burn coal, 5 tons of mercury, you remember the stuff in the thermometer, toxic, highly toxic, is emitted each year only in Germany. And we are still building plants for burning fossil fuels. We're still burning coal, even if we could have 100% renewables. And this is why the more and more I commit myself to these issues, favor political solutions like you, because the big leverage is not personal consumption. The big leverage is policy solutions. And so I keep my fingers crossed for this policy award, because the future is our hands. We have very little time to change things. The next decade will decide for the historical chance of our planet to not reach the 1.5 Paris Agreement, not to reach the planetary boundaries, as Johan Rockström puts out in his very good Netflix documentary. So please spread the word, spread good policy ideas, and let's all work together. We're in this together. Nobody can buy his own air. Nobody can buy his own outside temperature. I'm always an optimist because I know there are so many great people engaged in this award, committed to solving problems and not just complaining. So good luck.
Dr. Eckhard von Hirschhausen, you gave fantastic keywords on what is addressed by the fourth and last category of the Future Policy Award 2021, in which 2 awards will be given. The first Future Policy Gold Award of this category goes to one of the few countries in the world that made the GHS legally binding. Leave the Sri Lankan islands and arrive with us in beautiful Central Asia, in Kyrgyzstan, a country with gorgeous wild mountain pastures, to know more about this impactful policy.
Kyrgyzstan is one of the still too few countries in the world to make the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals, GHS, legally binding. GHS classifies all hazardous chemicals and offers transparent health and safety information on labels and safety data sheets. It can be used in the workplace, transportation, consumer products, pesticides and pharmaceuticals, benefiting the country's entire population, especially children and pregnant women. The resolution was part of the overall governmental policy on chemical management. It was influenced by the development and adoption of a list of banned and strongly restricted chemicals and pesticides. Employees of 219 public institutions, businesses and NGOs have been instructed about the use of GHS in their sectors. Companies trained more than 6,500 employees to ensure safety at the workplace. GHS is applied by all pesticide and fertilizer suppliers. And all imported pesticides and fertilizers are checked for compliance. Moreover, consumer awareness has increased. On average, 7 out of 10 buyers pay attention to product labeling. The resolution has contributed to the transition towards organic agriculture. Today, more than 20 villages in Kyrgyzstan implement organic technologies with technical, legal and financial support from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Industry and Reclamation.
I warmly welcome Professor Dr. Marie-Claire Cordonnier-Seger, who is an expert jurist and Senior Director of the Center for International Sustainable Development Law, CISDL. She recently received an International Justice Award and is the Leverhulme Trust Visiting Professor of the University of Cambridge. She is also a founding counselor of the World Future Council, and in this capacity, she has chaired with high professionalism the Future Policy Award jury meetings since 2009.
As chair of the jury for the Future Justice Policy Award, it is my honor and my pleasure to thank and recognize you for this excellent leadership that you have shown. As winners of the 2021 Future Just Law and Policy Award, you are to be congratulated and celebrated. Your laws and policies have been chosen from among many nominated worldwide to be able to demonstrate to all of us that it is possible and indeed very, very worthwhile to integrate the principles of international law and sustainable development into our laws and decision-making. Through your leadership, and indeed through your courage, your commitment, and your creativity, you are showing the whole world how it is possible to truly respect transparency, precaution, inter- and intra-generational equity, the sustainable use of natural resources, and the integration of human rights and the environment into economic decision-making, among other principles that are so important to secure our future and the future of our world. From all of us, thank you, and continue your good work.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Cordonnier-Seger. And of course, our sincerest congratulations to the Kyrgyz policymakers and NGOs behind this impactful policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. We now warmly welcome the representative from Kyrgyz Republic, Mr. Danyar Imanaliyev, First Deputy Minister of Economy and Finance, and he will deliver the speech of His Excellency Mr. Akulbek Uzenbekovich Chaparov, who is Deputy of the Cabinet of Ministers and the Minister of Economy and Finance.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I am speaking on behalf of the distinguished Akulbek Uzenbekovich Japarov, Deputy Cabinet of the Ministers and Minister of Economy and Finance of the Kyrgyz Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is great honor for me to accept the award in the nomination Policy of the Future 2021 for the effective policy implemented in the field of environmental protection and human health, adopted in the decision of the government of the Kyrgyz Republic on approval of the regulation and classification system of hazard of chemical substances, mixtures and requirements for the hazard communication elements, labeling and safety datasheet. The Kyrgyz Republic thanks to the World Future Council, its partners and donors for this international award Politics of the Future 2021. The policy of the Future 2021 prize is for Kyrgyzstan a recognition by the international community of our albeit small but very important achievements in the field of preserving and environment and human health. I am very proud and glad for those people who were direct participants in this process and put their professionalism and work into it. And I would especially like to note the assistance in the implementation of the policy in the field of the safe handling of chemical products and substances, and to thank the representatives of the ministers and departments, experts from research institutes, international organizations, and other non-governmental organizations. The development and implementation of this legal regulation in the country contributed to the establishment of uniform criteria for the classification of hazard of chemical mixtures and requirements for elements of the hazard communication for use in the country, reducing the need for studies and assessment in the accordance with different chemical mixtures, hazard classification system, and hazard communication requirements, improving the protection of workers and public from the hazard associated with the chemical and mixtures, increasing interaction between ministries and departments, avoid duplication of attempt to create national system of hazard for chemical mixtures and requirements for the elements of hazard communication. I hope that this work will allow Kyrgyzstan to improve interaction on chemical safety issues at international level and will help reduce the illegal circulation of chemicals. We are ready to share our experience and practice on how to implement a policy in the field of safe handling of chemical products and substances, and are ready to work closely with other countries that are in the process of carrying out such a work. Moreover, we plan to intensify these actions in this direction. It is a great honor for us to accept this great recognition, and we are very happy about it. We fully support the vision of the toxic-free world for our children and grandchildren. Realizing its responsibility to the future generation, the Kyrgyz Republic calls all the countries to make maximum efforts to ensure safety for life and health and the environment. Together we can change the world for the better. I express my gratitude to the jury for accessing our merits and for choosing the Kyrgyz Republic as a winner of the Policy of the Future 2021 competition. Thank you very much.
Follow us now from the wild Central Asian mountains to a northern European country with extensive forest coverage. The second Future Policy Gold Award goes not to a national but a regional policy. The Swedish region Stockholm enforced a phase-out list that prevents purchasing and procurement of chemical products and goods containing hazardous substances. Find out more about this highly interesting policy.
Region Stockholm has agreed on a phase-out list for chemicals hazardous for the environment and human health. The list is mandatory for all products procured by Region Stockholm. It comprises chemicals and chemical products used, for example, in healthcare, laboratories, dentistry, IT, cleaning, and textiles. Apart from the environmental threat they represent, these chemicals may also cause cancer or inheritable genetic damage. The program is a great success. The healthcare sector saw a 90% reduction in the use of listed substances. Volumes decreased in weight from 1,135 kilograms to 115 kilograms. Today, approximately 108 individual and groups of substances have been phased out. As knowledge about the harm of chemicals grows, more substances will be added. Region Stockholm coordinates similar work in other regions and cities, including Gothenburg and Uppsala, two of the larger cities in Sweden. The policy demonstrates that phasing out the most hazardous chemicals is possible without negative consequences for economic development and with positive benefits for the society. The phase-out list serves as an inspiration for regions and countries around the world.
I now warmly welcome a very successful entrepreneur with a big heart for environmental sustainability, who will hold the laudatory speech for Region Stockholm. He is the co-founder and honorary councillor of the World Future Council, and also the founder of the Michael Otto Foundation, which has been supporting the Future Policy Award for many years. Already in the early 90s, he introduced an environmental management system in each part of his company, which led to the replacement of hazardous chemicals in textile production. For example, ozone bleach replaced chlorine bleach, and biodegradable dyes replaced heavy metal-containing ones. We are very pleased to have him with us. Professor Dr. Michael Otto, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Region Stockholm's phase-out list for chemicals hazardous to the environment and human health is this year's gold-winning policy, and I therefore warmly congratulate Swedish policymakers and all those involved in developing this policy. Region Stockholm is to be commended for taking bold action, having recognized the harms to people and nature which are caused by the use of some chemicals in healthcare, public transport, and real estate. The region enforced a phase-out list that prevents purchasing and procurement of chemicals, products, and goods containing hazardous substances. The requirements are often higher than those set out by EU chemical legislation, and in 2016, more than 90 substances on the list were not yet included in EU REACH candidate list. A significant proportion of hazardous chemicals has already been phased out. For instance, phthalates, which can be particularly harmful to children and pregnant women. The city tested, for example, old PVC toys in Stockholm's preschools and a worst-case toy lizard, which consisted of approximately 42% of restricted phthalates. The region has replaced these old toys with new ones which only contain trace amounts under the 0.1% level, thereby safeguarding children's health. Standing ovation for this visionary policy are certainly well deserved. I truly congratulate Region Stockholm for this impactful policy, which today is honored with the 2021 Future Policy Gold Award. All the very best.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Otto. And of course, our sincerest congratulations to the actors of Region Stockholm who developed this great policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. Welcome to Mr. Thomas Eriksson, Regional Chair for Environment and Public Transport, and Mrs. Carina Lundberg Udelep, Regional Chief Executive, Region Stockholm, who wish to address the audience.
Mr. Executive Director, ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply honored to stand in front of you today as a representative of the Stockholm region and all our citizens in receiving this very outstanding prize. I would like to start to thank all of our departments and organizations for the implementation of this phase-out list. Our healthcare department has made this list a very important part of their daily work, and this prize, it goes to you. I would also like to congratulate all our fellow nominees and awardees for all your important work in achieving change. It's really our joint achievement that can take us further in protecting both human health and the environment. I will also, of course, like to thank the Future Policy Council organization for highlighting our important work in the Stockholm region for a more sustainable chemical consumption. Thank you.
Mr. Executive Director, ladies and gentlemen, by implementing policies such as the phase-out list for chemicals Region Stockholm strives to protect the health of employees, patients, drivers, constructors, travelers, all in all, the citizens of Stockholm region. I would like to thank and congratulate all our co-workers. All their hard work has led us to achieve these results. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Lundberg-Udelep and Mr. Eriksson. And of course, once more, congratulations. During the corona crisis, it is indeed of the utmost importance that we globally make sure that our health is not weakened by the use of unnecessary harmful chemicals. It is therefore extremely inspiring to see that Region Stockholm's healthcare department reduced the use of such chemicals by 90%. Ladies and gentlemen, to me, the 2021 awardees look like an absolutely great lineup of solutions. Can you imagine how many lives and environmental resources could be saved if they were implemented globally? Uncountable. We have asked this question to Dr. Auma Obama, sister of former US President Barack Obama, who is a counselor of the World Future Council and who leads the Sauti Ku Foundation, which works to improve the lives of disadvantaged children, young people and their families.
Congratulations to all the winners of the Future Policy Award 2021. You are showing us that we can protect people, especially children, future generations and the environment from hazardous chemicals. Following your example, we need to act much faster to protect ourselves and others. In so doing, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives could be saved, and many critical environmental resources would be much better protected. Thank you for your commitment to the cause. Have a great evening and all the best.
Thank you so much, Dr. Auma Obama. We hope our work will change things for the better and speed up policy action. We all would not be here today if he hadn't founded the World Future Council and the Alternative Nobel Prize. Let us listen to Jakob von Uexküll.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, never before did our decisions and actions have such profound consequences. We face a huge responsibility. The use of hazardous chemicals is toxifying life. We need precise demands in the form of best policies. They can ensure that rights and responsibilities go together. As Martin Luther King said, the law does not change the heart, but it can restrain the heartless. The awarded policies provide good starting points for a race to the top, to secure a safe world for our children and future generations.
We all are caretakers of our health, of our children and grandchildren, of all life on Mother Earth and of future life. Many young people note that a lot is going wrong nowadays and speak up. They ask adults to take much bolder decisions that stop the destruction of critical environmental resources. One of these young people is Kyrgyzstan Basu, founder and president of Green Hope Foundation, who is also the youngest counselor of the World Future Council. Listen to what she has to say before we speak with Alexandra Wandel about future steps.
Hello, this is Kyrgyzstan, the youngest counselor of the World Future Council, and I am connecting with you from Toronto, Canada. Do you know that the processed meat that you crave for is actually carcinogenic? Or the glossy makeup that makes you sparkle is actually loaded with toxins? Every day, our lives are threatened by the exposure to toxic chemicals that have insidiously crept into our bodies through the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. Professor Dr. Vandana Shiva, my fellow counselor at the World Future Council, has rightly asserted that in nature's economy, the currency is not money, it is life. Driven by the insatiable greed of mega corporations who put profit above humanity, the hazards from these chemicals disproportionately impact people in the global south. The risks are exacerbated in pregnant women, in immune-compromised older people, and in children and youth from marginalized communities who continue to suffer this gross injustice in silence. Not just to human life, the damage these toxic chemicals cause to our biodiversity is irreversible and remains unaccounted for. The Future Policy Award 2021 winning policies are all impactful solutions that tackle critical aspects of this global challenge. The 2021 Future Policy Award winners prove that we can safeguard our health and environment and prove what good governance looks like. In times of crisis, it is not enough to do our best. We have to do what is necessary. Our future is at stake here, and I ask all of you, in the name of current and future generations from all across the world, to no longer accept the status quo. We demand immediate accountability from these big corporations and from our policymakers. Stop poisoning our planet. Your silence will mean that you do not care. So speak up and act now.
Powerful statement from Kikashan Basu. Thank you. I now warmly welcome Naniso Tswai, a Berlin-based author who was born in apartheid South Africa in 1980 and who is also very active in the spoken word scene.
This hazardous post-pandemic presently drunkenly tilting, wobbling, stumbling about upon industry stilts, wading in and out of the puddles of chemical cocktails it drunkenly makes its way to the future, whilst inhaling gluttony, exhaling the stillborn bodies of tomorrow. This today reality, foremost the responsibility of those few who ignore the wishes and suffering of the many, simply without soul and solely to line their bank accounts with the profits of what nature they stole, as we extol the burden placed upon this heavenly earthly bowl. See, do you see how easily, carelessly, ever so precariously the past lingers? Meanwhile our present feasts upon the now at the expense of the future. We like human muttons easily swayed, and dissuaded by ignorance, our fate dismayed by our lassitude. We are the arrogant dodos of our time, smiling, as we plummet off the cliff of contaminants, of liquid inanimates, our reactions almost too late as we collide with fate. There are many hazardous chemicals, but that which persists to pollute most of all is that persistent pesticide of the mind that blinds us to the consequences of docility and atrophy in the face of climate catastrophe. These words said, uttered, spoken, a breath of chance, reminding you and I and us that if we act today with haste, no time to waste, if we might hope to mitigate, protect us from this earth and this earth from us, for all of us. For our only chance is to open our eyes, to raise our voices, proclaiming unity, that the future looks back at us with a frown, knowing that only the present can save us all now. So open your eyes.
Great words from Naniso Tswai. Thank you so much. And I have with me again Alexandra Wandel, who directs the World Future Council, and she is back because we, of course, all want to know what comes next. The 2021 awardees are a fantastic set of solutions, but what now?
The Future Policy Award involves a lot of outreach. When we issue the call for nomination, we send it to 40,000 experts from all over the world. We then received 55 nominations from 36 countries, and our research team then thoroughly evaluated the policies in terms of impact, in terms of transferability, also interviewing local contacts and applying the Future Just lawmaking methodology. We then set up an international jury of experts from all continents, from around the world, and they selected the winning policies. And now that we had the award celebration, we want to continue to spread knowledge about these wonderful policies. So we have films available on the website, we have brochure available in different languages, and also in the coming weeks we will be preparing information for policymakers on our futurepolicy.org website.
And of course, we all want to know what topic will be next.
Yes, the topic is decided by our council that is meeting for its annual general meeting in October. The topic is not yet decided, and they will certainly select a highly relevant topic. Once the topic is selected, we will, of course, inform our friends and supporters, and we then look for suitable partners and also the relevant funding. And, of course, offers of support are very much welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Alexandra Wandel. It sounds like an amazing alliance that you have built up. And of course, we all keep our fingers crossed for the future plans to come.
Thank you so much. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank all of our partners. So to thank all of the people who have nominated the policies, the experts and consultants that evaluated the policies. We also, of course, want to thank all of the partners that we had, the United Nations Environment Programme, the Strategic Approach for International Chemical Management, the United Nations Development Programme. We have the International Labour Organization, the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and of course also our supporters, the Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, and the Federal Environment Agency, as well as the Michael Otto Foundation and the JUA Foundation. And last not but least, many thanks also to the artists today, the technical crew, and also the hardworking Future Policy Award team. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Alexandra Wandel. It sounds like a fantastic alliance that you have built up, and we will all keep our fingers crossed for future plans. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an enormous pleasure to have had you with us. We are now closing the Future Policy Award ceremony with a cover of one of the most beautiful songs of the 20th century. Matching our topic, it imagines a world at peace. Imagine will be performed for us by the Young Classics Ensemble. The Young Classics is a unique initiative that up to today has inspired more than 30,000 children and young people for music and to stand up for a better world. The song is a special recording of the young people who weren't able to sing in one room during the pandemic. So their conductor, Michael Zlanabitnik, decided to make a videotape and mix the voices. This is the result. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to our partners, to all contributors, and of course to all of you for your attention, for your attendance. And I wish you a wonderful remaining evening and see you next time.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people Thank you.